All right, I need to say this. I really do. I'm sure I'm going to be called a shield or whatever. I'm just calling it down the way it is. I'm not a shield of nobody. Not a fucking word. I'm not pro George Lucas. I'm not a pro Disney. I'm just saying it down the middle. Yeah, I'll agree with every fucking idiot that's saying it right now. There was a lack of a plan. But I could say the same thing towards the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. I personally believe they had ideas, and J.J. Abrams is very torn because he had concepts. He had fighting over Disney on what he wanted to do. More likely, that was probably the case. And honestly, I really am going to be saying this. It sucks that us Star Wars fans who enjoy the prequels, who enjoy the sequel trilogy, have to deal with it. And I mean, have to deal with it. I get very tired of people saying, oh, the prequels are so much better than the sequel trilogy, and yet they will do the same with these movies compared towards the newer movies. I get it. I really do. The structure of the sequel trilogy was a goddamn mess. But I could say the same thing with the other Star Wars films. And I do agree that the next time around, if they ever want to do a continuation from the Skywalker family or a continuation from anything, um, just do practically make your own trilogy or make your own saga in the Star Wars and just go from there and just call it episode 10 and the rest is history from there. You get what I'm saying? That's what I think should happen. Just go forward. Just ignore it or whatever. You don't need to just retcon the sequel trilogy just because it failed and Disney didn't really care too much on building it up, developing the characters, taking our time with these characters like we did with the prequels and the originals. And I agree with that. I agree because, at least with the first two trilogies, you had something with the Marvel Comics and the Dark Horse books with the original trilogy, and then you have the prequel trilogy. You had two cartoons about the Clone Wars, and that said a lot, and it built on towards the inevitable of Revenge of the Sith, which is by far the better film out of the entire trilogy. But if you take away the Clone Wars cartoons on the prequel trilogy, you take away the comics from Marvel and Dark Horse, it's very much, you could see where it stands. The original trilogy has its own cohesive storyline compared towards the prequels. George Lucas could have never, he couldn't make his magic again. And when you look at the sequel trilogy, it's a goddamn nightmare because you're just literally thinking, what is going on here? You have the first movie good, then you have the second movie to be a total goddamn nightmare and kill Luke Skywalker off, where they should have just had him still be alive and kill Carrie Fisher's character, Princess Leia, and you have Luke Skywalker going forward, and then you have it where the rise of the Skywalker returns. You would have a very foreshadowing of that whole Last Jedi coming back and you going forward with that direction. You would also explain a lot of things that really should have been in the fucking shit. Or hell, fucking give us a shit fucking comic book that you goddamn tell us what happened to goddamn Luke. That's my biggest problem. That's my biggest problem with the sequel trilogy. They keep mentioning the 30-year time gap, and they didn't even fucking tell you jack squat. The lack of planning, the lack of where the direction is going was fucking abysmal. And Carrie Fisher's death was not helping at all. Carrie Fisher's death, in my opinion, hurt the trilogy. In my opinion, hurt the trilogy. And the fact they kill her character off, oh, the fucking anger was over 9,000. It is what it is. I really feel like they should have done a lot better. I really feel like they should have given Abrams the entire trilogy. I really feel like they should have given him an entire cartoon, an entire outline of what he wanted to do, but instead he fucking tapped out because he trusts a guy that could continue where he wanted to go, and the fucking piece of shit bastard fucking ruined everything about him on what he established, and honestly, the rest is history. The whole point I'm saying is, I still have hope. But I do not like what happened. And I do not like the fact that many people are blind and stupid because if you look at George's prequel trilogy, it's a bare bone, lackluster trilogy. Episode 1 didn't need to happen. You could have just mentioned that and rest is history from there. We could have Anakin already as a teenager. The love story between Padme was god-awful. If you didn't have the Clone Wars cartoon building that up, developing the characters. There were deleted scenes that make that shit better. But I could say the same thing towards Disney. The lack of caring of this trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the continuation from the original trilogy, and doing the newer generation of heroes, the newer generation of characters. Yes, people did like Kylo Ren, Rey, and Finn, and all these characters, but they were very unsatisfied, very disappointed, very, in a way, pissed off. But I guess it is what it is. I don't blame Abrams. In fact, I blame the other guy. And I think he killed the trilogy. And I also blame Disney as well for not caring on this whole trilogy. So that's what I'm trying to say. Star Wars always had somewhat an outline of where they wanted to go, but they could easily somewhat change it. But it is what it is. I don't know what else I could say. I just don't know what to say. I mean, surely some fans would kind of understand where I'm coming from. I'm hoping they do. Because honestly, it is what it is. And if they ever do a continuation and they do episode 10 to 11 or 12 or whatever, they need to stretch that to 9 films and expand upon it. Do comic books, do books, do games around, even cartoons, around that entire era, because we got nothing. We got nothing out of that entire trilogy. For fuck's sake, after Snoke died, it was literally the end. I mean, Snoke is gone. Kylo Ren is basically ruling, and the Resistance are done. They were done. The war was over. And now they bring back the Emperor. They didn't even mention how he came back, how Rey is connected towards the Emperor. Oh wait, take that back. She's his granddaughter, or should I say his daughter, because he made a clone of himself trying to replicate himself, which is very much like, okay, you're trying to bring some elements of the legend stuff, which is fine. But if you're going to bring back the Emperor, you could have just established it way back in the second film. Or hell, you could have at least somewhat tell us what was the whole thing on Snoke's part. What was his part in this entire trilogy? Nothing. What was the whole Kylo Ren part? Oh, Luke Skywalker almost killed me. Not really. I mean, it's so just, oh my god, it's so just bullshit. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm happy that the actors, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, and the original. I'm happy that the original actors who play Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han came back. And at least I got to see them before they passed away. That's just how it is. I'm very, very, very somewhat disgusted on the community not saying Disney should have done a cartoon. Disney should have done comic books around the sequel trilogy, like George did with the prequel trilogy. And I'll say this now. George's prequels were good and bad, but his sequel idea, I'm sorry, that was not going to cut it with me.